Found footage horror movies are my bread and butter. This genre of horror isn't anything new, but I'd say in the last decade or so, it's definitely gotten more popular. A lot of people would cite their first encounter with the genre with 1999's Blair Witch Project. And speaking of encounters, Grave Encounters is today's movie of choice. Thought that was so clever, didn't you? This is one of my favorite horror movies to watch when I was younger. Don't ignore me. But it's been a hot minute since I've sat down and watched it, so let's dive into the film and see how it holds up today. We start off with a man named Jerry Hartfield, a CEO of a video production company in California. It's mainly for reality shows, and he receives a tape in the mail for a pilot called Grave Encounters, starring a guy named Lance Preston who would go around with his crew and investigate ghost sightings in rumored haunted areas. Saying this show came out before all the other popular ones we know and that Lance was ahead of his time. And when they show us the intro to this show, you know exactly who they're poking fun at.
There are things in this hotel that we will never fully understand.
This is Ghost Adventures down to a T. Lance is doing his very best Zach Baggins impersonation. Lance giving a very vague background saying when he was a boy, his parents moved into a house and it was haunted. The end. He didn't give us an age or anything he saw in the house. Yeah, when I was a boy, my parents' house was haunted. That's it? Yeah, that's it. What more information do you need? The first two people we see of his crew are Sasha Parker, an occult specialist, and Matt White, the tech whiz. Also, what is this shot? Why does it look like the portal to the afterlife is opening up behind him? You can barely see his face. We cut back to Jerry and he explains that everything was going just fine. The show was coming along well, the people behind it were confident in the product, until they got to episode 6. What happened in episode 6? They went to Narnia. Really? No! Now before getting to the good stuff, Jerry expresses that what we're about to watch is not a movie. It's raw footage cut from 76 hours that were shot and only edited for time. Which is funny how I mentioned the Blair Witch Project earlier because they're borrowing from that formula, making the audience think they're watching something real and what happens to these people actually happens in real life. But we all know it's fake. Or is it? Episode 6 of Grave Encounters, titled The Haunted Asylum, sounds pleasant already. Zach, oh shit, my bad. Lance is doing a breakdown of the Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital, which, fun fact, if you Google this place, it shows that it's permanently closed, and it only shows these two photos. That's good marketing. While this place was open, it housed over 80,000 mental patients and closed in 1963. And that's when the freaks came out at night. I should probably rephrase that. Ghost sightings. Yes, ghost. That's when people reported ghost sightings. Get it together, Greaves. Lance says they're doing an 8-hour lockdown, which is a full work day in a haunted asylum. Even if this place wasn't haunted, I wouldn't do that. How much were they getting paid from this production team? Lance interviews a guy named Morgan Turner, an historian that would give them a little more history on what they're getting themselves into. Morgan explains like many other mental institutions back in the day, this place was used more as a dumping ground. That's a real life fact as well. A lot of mental hospitals back in the day were not used to actually help patients, at least in a moral way. While private institutes were a lot more pleasant, public institutes were often abusive and neglectful of patients. Also, I love how the first patient we see looks fairly normal. They just gave him some really dark eyeshadow. Look at this guy. This is Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I'm starting to realize I make too many Scooby-Doo references. We then come to learn about a guy named Arthur Friedkin, and similar to the doctor from House on Haunted Hill, which I will definitely be doing a video in the future on, he is loosely based on real-life Dr. Donald Edwin Cameron, who was notoriously known for unethical medical experiments and in turn developing terrifying medical practices for the CIA for mind control. What the fuck? I know, right? Wait a minute, they both even have the same story. Similar to the doctor from House on Haunted Hill, the patients would escape and take their revenge on Friedkin for the terrible things he did to them. Although for their real-life counterpart, it wasn't that dramatic. Donald actually died from a heart attack. But the point is, Friedkin was a bad guy, performing over 140 lobotomies. A lobotomy is when they sever the nerve pathways to your frontal lobe. And I'm sorry, what was the point of lobotomies? Like, I looked it up, and from what I saw, it did have a result. Patients showed a physical and mental change. But it was more so a band-aid. Oh, the patient is much calmer now and easier to deal with. That's a win. And so many were performed back then. I think I'm just disgusted by the actual procedure itself. It just sounds blah. Sorry for that rant about lobotomies. Moving on. The death of Friedkin, fun fact, was overshadowed by the death of famous baseball player Babe Ruth. Man, that's gotta be tough. Imagine dying on the same day a person more famous than you dies. Like, think about everyone who passed away the day Michael Jackson died. Now listen, I've gone over red flags before, RIP Sadie, but this is a little too on the nose. Yes, as the crew approaches the door, Death Awaits is spray painted on it. Surprised they didn't use red paint. Lance makes a joke and Sasha's like, that's lame as fuck. I agree with Sasha, but unfortunately for you all, that statement might ring true. The crew is like, nah, we should not use this in the footage, that shit is corny. But Lance is like, you put some creepy music over it, slow it down, and anything is creepy. And he's got a point. Riveting. So the caretaker opens the door for them and we get our first look at the inside of the asylum. Place honestly doesn't look too creepy. Like, yeah, they put this dreary ass Twilight filter over it, but shit, I could do some parkour through this mug.
Parkour! Parkour!
Caretaker's name is Keith. Sweat? Yes, yeah. Keith Sweat is the caretaker for a random ass psychiatric hospital in the middle of Maryland. Do you hear yourself? Keith said he doesn't really know if he believes in ghosts, but he has experienced some strange stuff in this building. Weird noises, windows being left open, the whole 9 yards. Keith also notes that none of the lights work in this place, so that'll be fun at night, right? I'm scared. For all of the believed paranormal hotspots, the crew puts down a red X, kind of a way of keeping note of all the places they could get the best footage in. Walking through the building, it's definitely giving liminal space. I wouldn't want to be cooped up in this place either. We get a look at a room of one of the mental patients and there's scribbling written all over the walls. Keith saying whoever stayed in his room was here for a long time. Demons in the walls, demons in the halls, demons in my mind, demons you will find. Okay, he kind of spitting bars.
Is this nigga serious?
We get a look at another room where Keith shows them a bathtub where a girl was rumored to have killed herself in. Keith then takes them down to the service tunnels and yeah, no, I'm out. Service tunnels my ass. Who are we servicing? Satan? Lance starts an interview with a guy named Gary Crawford, an owner of a contracting company. And this guy does not want to do this interview. Look at his face. This is all a huge waste of time for him. They were going to do renovations for this place, but it got canceled. Supernatural, maybe? I guess we'll find out next time on Dragon Ball. Get to the point. All right, fine. His workers were claiming they were hearing strange noises and tools would disappear overnight with no explanations. It all climaxed to when one of his guys claimed he was pushed off a ladder. He banged his knee up and quit the next day. Lance then talks to a couple who claimed to experience some paranormal phenomena in the area. They were making out and the boyfriend claims he saw someone standing at the end of a hallway. Which, go back a little bit. Do people still do this? Young teens sneaking into places they don't belong and making out? The last thing I would be thinking about if I was here at night would be smooching. Is the dust in the air turning you on? That mildew smell really doing it for you? Anyways, whatever that guy saw, he says they were wearing a hospital gown. All of this and then Lance turns to the camera and says full spectral apparition and nothing else after that for some reason. You gave us a whole breakdown of what a residual and intellectual haunting was, but when it comes to full spectral apparition, you're like, nah, that should be self-explanatory. You just said a fucking domain expansion. I don't know what that is. The next and last interview is probably the funniest one. He's talking to one of the resident gardeners, Javier, asking him if he's seen any ghosts. And Javier's like, nah, dog, I don't know anything about Casper and them. I just work here. I'll give you 20 bucks. Oh shit, you said ghosts? I thought you said goats. Listen, I've seen hella ghosts around here. One of them even picked up my leaf blower and started doing my job for me. I was scared but thankful at the same time. We then get introduced to psychic medium Houston Gray. We get a Sean Spencer moment with this guy because he has some sort of vision of a woman who slit her wrist in the bathtub. Lance expressing how the caretaker told him the exact same thing earlier. How could this be? He's a fake? Yep, he's a big fat phony. They cut the scene and joke and laugh afterwards, Houston asking if that was too much.
You're despicable.
The guys are playing football and Sasha's asking Lance questions from behind the camera about how he's feeling and if they'll see some ghosts. And Lance doesn't come off inherently as an asshole. Like, you can tell he really doesn't believe any of this stuff and he just wants to put on a good show. But he's not like superbly arrogant or mean to his crew. He just runs a tight ship. Although I can tell you're not supposed to like him completely. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention TC. He's another member of the group. Day goes tonight and Matt is setting up cameras around the building. And he's much braver than me. Just look at this. You couldn't pay me to do this. And if you did, it'd have to be a lifetime sum. I like how you could tell what parts are behind the scenes and what's going to be used for the show. Because Lance is talking in his fake Ghost Adventures accent while asking Matt about how the gadgets work. The caretaker Keith shows back up and locks them in for the night. Lance gives his little intro for the show and the investigation begins. They're doing the usual thing where they try to talk to the spirits, move this, that, speak now this. And what do you think happens? Nothing? Nothing! Each member then proceeds to go to some of the hot spots in the hospital. Sasha is in that one patient's room with all the scribbles. Lance is in the bathtub. Side note, Lance is just sitting down in this thing with nothing under him. No blanket? A towel maybe?
That's disgusting.
Everyone heads down to the service tunnels to see if anything's going on down there, and they think they hear something, but it's just Remy and his extended family. Lance freaks out because he hates rats. Sasha's like, stop being a bitch, and Houston is cracking up. Lance is not buying that this place is haunted, and like that, they all head back up to the lobby. Matt gets up to use the bathroom, and all of a sudden we cut to the room where Keith was telling them about the window. A glitch happens in the film, and then it opens by itself. Ooh, spooky. We then cut to one of the stupidest scenes in this movie. Sasha's scanning the wall, and Lance is in the background asking the audience if this could be ectoplasm from a ghost. I know that might be an actual term, but what are we, the Ghostbusters? Every time I hear ectoplasm, I think of this motherfucker right here. While TC is walking around, he finds a wheelchair in the middle of the hallway. He then gets a phone call, which I'm assuming is his girlfriend or wife, and we then learn that he has a daughter. And I think this is the movie's way of trying to build up some compassion and empathy for the people in the movie. That way you feel bad for what happens to them later on. His daughter is crying because she's afraid of monsters under her bed. TC reassuring her that there's no such thing as monsters. And I wish he was wrong. Oh boy, do I wish he was wrong. And of course, while he's saying that, the wheelchair in the background starts moving by itself. And no one's there. Magic? When the fuck has it ever been magic? After getting off the phone, he goes into one of the bajillion rooms in this place. He doesn't see anything, but as he's about to turn around, the door slams. The ghosts are finally starting to get active. Yes. Oh wait, no, the ghosts are finally starting to get active. TC, of course, thinks it's one of his crew members playing a prank. But no, No, it's not. It's never your friends. It's always demons. What have we learned? Why are you so passionate right now? The crew shows up and Lance is like, maybe it was the wind? It's a solid metal door, Lance. TC happens to mention he was filming it and everyone's surprised like, what? You got it on tape? You were filming? Are we not supposed to be filming everything? I thought that was the whole point of all of us having our own cameras. Let's put on our thinking caps, everyone. He shows them the footage and they're like, oh my God. Wow! Lance then begins to start filming for the show, telling the people at home about what happened to TC. They once again try the whole if anyone is in this room shtick, but nothing happens. I also love how Houston is trying his best to stay in character and Lance is like, Houston, please, enough with the shits. Nothing happens and Lance is frustrated again because he thought they were onto something. Oh, don't worry, Lance. Boom, loud bang. They all peek outside the door to see who's playing the bongos and they venture off into the hallway. As they're walking, they can hear a noise in the distance. Sasha asks everyone if they can hear it. Everyone agrees there is a weird noise and they go into the room it's coming from. Inside is a hospital bed completely knocked over, wheels still spinning. Sasha's the first one to freak out, which I thought you wanted actual ghosts, Sasha. Now all of a sudden things start popping off and you're losing your wig. Someone starts running on the floor above them and Lance checks to see if it's Matt. Matt, you Bigfoot seismic back mother. Is that you up there?
Hell no, it ain't me.
I don't think you're allowed to say that. Listen, there's people walking on the roof.
On the roof?
On the roof.
On the roof?
On the roof.
On the roof?
Are you fucking with me? Matt tells them there's no one above them and Houston thinks somebody's playing a prank on them because they know they're filming in this location. The crew heads upstairs. Wait, upstairs? Right to the danger, of course. Houston's being obnoxious, trying to egg on their supposed intruder, but Sasha's like, maybe this is legit. Look at Lance's face, bro. And honestly, I do feel for them. What do you do in this situation? Imagine you and your friends don't really believe in ghosts and you go to a new location thinking it's all gonna be the same as usual, but you find actual ghosts there. I'd be looking like this too. Sasha does an EVP and starts asking the ghost questions like, what is your name and what do you want? She asks it a few more questions and plays the recorder back. And towards the end, you can hear a sharp sound. And before they can figure out what it is, Sarah's hair lifts up on its own. Everyone starts going crazy cause what? Lance is more focused on if TC was filming that. And listen, it's not funny, but it's funny. Sasha is gone. Like, she ran off screaming while everyone else is just standing there reacting. She's got better fight or flight than this entire group of men. Sasha is obviously scared and wants to go home, and while everybody's on board, Lance is telling them to wait a moment. And I hate to admit it, but he kinda has a point. In the 5 episodes they filmed, they didn't really have any supernatural experiences. This is the first episode where they get shit bumping and everybody wants to leave. This is money right here. We could get a bonus for what's about to happen. Oh, I've realized I'm the problem. But Sasha is not hearing it, and Lance tells Houston to take her back to the lobby. Houston is also scared to death. Lance tells him to get his shit together and they leave. TC's trying to leave too and Lance is like, hell nah, you and me. They head back upstairs and Lance does his monologue. And I'm sorry. I know this is maybe not what they're going for, but this scene is absolutely hilarious. Listen, okay, something touched Sasha. This shit crazy. It's only my 3rd day out here. I think I peed a little bit. I could honestly go for a Snickers. I can't lie. Lance is doing his best to give his monologue, but he's just as freaked out as everyone else. Then he cuts to Houston for input and he's just standing there like this. Lance bumps him out of his trance and he starts making contact with the ghost. Nothing happens, so Lance takes a go at it, and also nothing happens. Lance is getting frustrated and starts yelling at the ghost. And listen, if you've learned anything, do not yell at the monster to come out, because when he does, you're gonna be looking like this. Drake learned that 2 years ago and people still talking about it. Lance takes more pictures and we can clearly see apparitions now, although they haven't looked at him yet, so they can't see that spirits are all around them. They all agree to pack up and go home and start grabbing their gear. But silly rabbit, tricks are for kids.
Wrong line.
Oh shit. But silly viewer, we're only 36 minutes into the movie. We know it's not that easy. As they're walking around trying to find their way around this place, it's like a maze. It's dead end after dead end. This is a sign of something very bad. Something sinister. I swear to God. Lance hops on a walkie to get some assistance from Matt, but no one's answering. Lance is confused and TC and Houston's patience is running out. And now everyone's arguing about where they've been and where they need to go and which way they haven't been already. It's all very overstimulated. They make it back to Sasha and Matt, catch up on all the heebie-jeebies they encountered and start packing their stuff up. But unfortunately for Matt, he's gonna have to get all the cameras back from around the building. I wonder if he'll make it back. Matt successfully grabs the first couple of cameras. He makes it up to the room with the haunted window and notices that it's wide open. Then guess what happens? He hears a loud bang in the distance and decides to go see what it is. Yeah, so Matt's dead.
Matt's not dead.
We cut back to Lance and everyone else, and Lance is doing his outro monologue, being the center of attention, of course. He calls for Matt on the walkie-talkie and he's not answering. I wonder why. Sasha, okay, I know it's pronounced Sasha, but I refuse. You even spelled it the same way just to pronounce it differently. Like, why are you trying so hard to be different? Sasha's like, it's really dark in the building, and what if he fell and hurt himself? She thinks they should go look for him and see if he's okay. Houston agrees, and they all reluctantly head out to go find Matt, who's dead.
He's not dead.
Lance tells everyone to grab their cameras and they all head out. Minus Houston, who stays behind just in case Keith shows up. A few minutes into looking for Matt and they all find his gear sprung out on the ground. Then Lance gets the bright idea to, you guessed it, split up.
Hey, bro, come on now, dawg.
Come on, man.
TC goes one way and him and Sasha go another. TC goes up a stairway, hears a noise behind him, and all of a sudden he goes launching down the stairs. Not by choice. It is heavily implied that something pushed him down, calling back to that worker who was pushed off that ladder. Lance and Sasha find him and they take him back to the lobby. TC tells Houston about what happened, and no offense to the actor who plays TC, but he has the dialogue of a pre-GTA 4 protagonist. Like, this is PS2 level of dialogue here. He yells at Lance to call Kenny, which I believe is their executive producer or something. I'm not sure, but he's someone important because Lance was on the phone with him earlier before they started the investigation. Although, wouldn't it have made more sense to get Keith's number? This is the guy who will be opening the doors for you in the morning. You could have gotten his number before he left in case shit goes awry. Like it is now. TC starts to go off the rails and tries kicking the door open. Lance can't get a signal to call Kenny. Everyone tries their phones, but nothing. TC grabs one of the hospital gurneys and attempts to slam it into the door to get it open. Lance is like, dude, you're gonna damage something and I'm not paying for it. And TC is extremely fed up at this point. He hassles the camera out of Lance's hands and forces him to help him open the door. And what happens next is unexplainable. They do successfully open the exit doors, but you wouldn't believe what's behind them. It's more hospital. And they're trying to gaslight themselves into maybe thinking this isn't the right door, but this is the lobby. We should be looking at outside right now. Lance saying maybe they got turned around or something, but that gets immediately disproven as Sasha closes the doors because you see the same death awaits message written on them. It's the exact same as before, which means these are the exit doors, but they're no longer the doors to an exit. Oh shit, bars! We cut to them trying to find their way out and TC is complaining again. And listen, I get it. You're scared, you want to go home, you're tired, but he will be my least favorite person in a situation like this. We're screwed. We know. I don't need to hear your mouth every 5 seconds about it. Oh shit, another exit. We are so saved. Oh, it's more hospital. If it wasn't obvious, they are trapped. The hospital in itself is alive. Think of the house from 13 Ghosts. Constantly moving, changing. An exit that used to be an exit is no longer one, and a door that was never an exit is now an exit. This building is so big that even if there was an exit, who knows how long it would take to find it again. And we have to remember that the hospital is shifting in a way so you never get out. They find a window, but like Lance mentioned earlier, this place was built like a prison. You're not meant to get out. But something even more chilling is that Lance checked the sunrise times. It should be bright outside right now, but as you can see, it's still pitch black, which means not only is the layout of the hospital being affected, the time spent in it is altered too.
Yeah, that's not terrifying at all.
Okay, serious moment for a second. We get this shot of Lance staring into the camera. His gaze falls to the floor, and part of me interpreted this as him maybe blaming himself. He brought them here. Matt's missing and now they're trapped. Lance's phone is showing 1 p.m., which cannot make any type of sense because it's still pitch black outside. But we know now that the building is messing with the time. Well, they don't, but we do. Everyone is sleeping in the lobby and then one of the flood lamps is knocked over, shattering and waking everyone up. What is it with the paranormal entities in these movies and not letting you sleep? But I think this was a spirit's way of taking away their comfortability. You could have some sense of relief with the room being lighter. But in pitch black, yeah, it's way easier to terrify you that way. Lance is still documenting for the show for some reason, but we need a movie, so I'll let it slide. He says TC went to go grab a sandwich, but when he opened their cooler, their food was rotten. All of it. Emphasizing even more on the time altering part because that would signify they've been here for days. The water is still fine though, so at least they have something. TC mentions that he saw a fire escape earlier when he was doing his time lapse, and that might be their best bet. And they're really just focused on escaping, which makes sense because Matt's dead.
Once again, not dead.
So back to creepily walking around the hospital, my favorite pastime. But they do find a staircase and a sign for access to the roof. Thank goodness, I was starting to get worried. Oh, we're really trapped in this bitch. There is no leaving. Why would we be so naive to think such a thing? Might as well curl up into a ball and die. Oh, TC beat me to it. Poor TC. Still searching to find a way out, they hear Matt screaming into the distance. Everyone books it to that direction and they find an empty room with a bed in it, which begins to move. Well, that was weird. Well, as long as it doesn't, oh shit, it's in the air. Everyone starts to run and we hear some gnarly ass noises in the background. What is that, a humpback whale? Are they being haunted by the spirit of Shamu? They all find shelter in the room. Lance does a distraught monologue and it cuts. The camera light cuts back on and something's wrong. Well, more than usual. Someone etched hello into her skin. Which, okay, I'm a little confused. Are these 13 ghost rules? They die a violent death so they get trapped in a tortured realm so violence is all they know? Because a lot of the patients that were mistreated here were mistreated by Friedkin. And he's dead. So why are we getting all the smoke? This is even too much for Lance and he tells TC to cut the camera. Lance hears Matt's voice on the walkie, which is weird because he's dead.
How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
They go out to start looking for him, but still no sign of him. While TC is being a pessimist once again, something runs through the doorways behind him. And it looked like Matt in a hospital gown. That was weird. However, when they go to see what it is not Matt. That's not Matt at all. It seems to be a woman in a hospital gown. And this is the first time we've seen a physical manifestation of a spirit in the movie so far. Mind you, it was already scary beforehand. This is just a cherry on top. She turns around, nothing really abnormal. I mean, she looks a little malnourished, but oh my God! They run back to the safe room and turn off all their lights, which even then, they're still all way too loud. Like, I'm sure the ghost can hear you all from a mile away. Although I just noticed something. I only saw 3 people run into this room. Where's Houston? Oh, he's by himself in a hallway. That's not good. His flashlight goes dead and now he's in pitch blackness. I could only imagine navigating this place in the dark. In fact, I'm gonna stop imagining that because that sounds awful. We cut to a different hallway. Houston's still trying to find his way. He makes it all the way down, but he gets picked up by a force we can't see and it begins to choke him. Houston calling out for help, but no one's there. We then see a bright flash as it launches Houston forward and he stops moving, presumably dead. I know I say this a lot, but I actually mean it this time. Poor Houston. Guy got bullied all movie and ends up dying alone and afraid. We cut back to TC, Lance, and Sasha and everyone looks hopeless. We get another monologue from Lance and it cuts to black. The light turns back on and everyone in the room has hospital bands on their wrist. Weird. And even weirder, it has their names on it, symbolizing that they are no longer visitors in this hospital. They're patients. You know it's scary when I don't have a joke for this. They leave the room because they can't stay cooped up in there forever, and all the doors are open like this, looking like a fucking backroom level. We hear laughter in the distance. Lance is still monologuing, and Sasha has had enough. Although honestly, Lance still might be doing this as a coping mechanism to keep his sanity. I use humor for myself. None of the movies I've covered have been comedies, but yet I'm making you laugh because there's no point in both of us being scared. Someone has to have fun. Speaking of fun, while Sasha is talking, an arm bashes through the door glass and grabs her. What the fuck? Whose dirty ass arm is this? Lance grabs her and more running. This is like all of Hell House 2 pretty much. Definitely looking forward to that breakdown. Halfway through running, Sasha's like, nah dog, I can't go anymore. Now's not the time, Sasha. Lance and Sasha have a little heart to heart, but TC calls them over and oh my god, it's Matt. I knew you were alive. I never doubted you for a second.
I literally hate you.
Although unfortunately, similar to our boy Paul from Hell House, Matt is gone. In the mental sense at least. He's physically right here, but he's way past helping. They ask him for a way out, but Matt's like, yeah, we can all leave when we're all better.
The fuck does that mean?
We can imply that whatever experiments that were being done in this hospital were done on Matt. He's speaking in riddles, and even if they make it out of this place, he'll probably never be the same. He then says that everything will be okay and he'll help you too. Must be talking about freaking. Everyone's sleeping besides Lance and Sasha. Sasha says something might be wrong with her. Lance feels her forehead and she does feel abnormally warm. Oh, you thought you could sleep? Hands in the ceiling. No, that's actually terrifying. But could also be a cover of a Death Grips album. They run to the bathtub room, everyone cowering in fear. They attempt to leave the room, but for some reason Matt walks over to one of the tubs and it's filled with blood. Honestly, I don't know if I'm even surprised at this point. They'll have to remind you this is the same tub that that girl was rumored to have killed herself in. No, because I forgot until she reaches out of the tub to grab TC. The tub tips over and blood is everywhere and TC is gone. This is one of those deaths that's up for interpretation. Like, yeah, you could chalk it up to TC simply being killed, but also could have been dragged into a different realm or be tortured and experimented on like Matt. Speaking of Matt, he starts bursting into laughter like his favorite comedian is in the middle of a set. And like that, it's just these 3 left. TC is gone, Houston is gone, and in a sick, twisted sort of way, Matt is gone too. Like I said, he's physically there, but you could really only say it's just Lance and Sasha. They continue to walk around and find an elevator? What the fuck? This place has elevators? I mean, I doubt they still work. Yeah, that's what I thought. The doors won't open. Lance heads back to the room with a tipped over bed and breaks off a metal bar to pry the doors open with. Now that's some good thinking, Lance. Although during his journey, he finds a severed tongue. Ew. And blood starts dripping down. Wait, if blood's dripping down, that must mean someone's above me. Oh my god! Lance makes a run for it. He pries open the door, quick thinking, but also, that's a weapon, Lance. I mean, it is a ghost and maybe you can't do anything to it, but you could at least try. He gets it open and like I guess it's not operational, but there is a ladder they can climb. But they don't have time to think because Mr. Gingivitis back there is yelling at the top of his lungs. Now there have been some creepy / scary scenes in this movie. However, Lance pointing this camera into the darkness just for that thing to appear out of nowhere when he turns the flashlight on? Oh my god. This is nightmare inducing. I hate shit like this. It attacks Lance and shout out to Sasha. Yeah, she's so goated I'm gonna use her proper pronunciation for the rest of the video. I probably won't. But she's like, fuck it. Lance isn't dying alone. I'm going in. They're able to get the doors closed and they keep their weight on it so that thing can't get in. Wait a minute, who's filming this shot? Oh, it's Matt. Interesting. Wait, what's he doing at that elevator shaft? It looks like he's about to... Okay, so Matt's dead, for real this time, and I have a love and hate relationship with stuff like this. Because on one hand, I always love it when a movie can express dread and hopelessness through the screen, but I also hate it because of those two things. I can't help these people. They're trapped in this place with no way out, and everyone they came in here with is now dead. They find their way to the service tunnels, their only glimmer of hope, as the tunnels can lead them to a different building and maybe they can find an exit. Only problem is that these tunnel paths can go on forever, like a quarter mile each way. Sasha falls down all of a sudden and starts coughing up blood, crying out for her mom as she cries in pain. I don't have anything for this. How am I supposed to make fun of this? A girl crying out for her mom as she's slowly dying from the inside while trapped in a demented asylum? Look at her face! Sasha can only go on for so long and they eventually sit down to take a break. While sleeping, a strange mist appears and Sasha leaves with it. Yeah, that's how Sasha dies. We don't see anything actually happen to her. She just disappears with the ghost mist. Lame. But it's fitting that it's only Lance left. Lance screams out for her, but she's nowhere to be found. He does an EVP asking what the spirits want from him, and when he plays it back, all he hears is screams of the damned. He then breaks down crying and okay, I can't do this.
This is way too depressing.
Lance is slowly but surely losing his mind as he continues to walk down these endless tunnels. We then watch him kill and eat a rat, and I am not showing that, but he does it. He's sucking on this thing like it's a Go-Gurt. I'm concerned. Then he starts laughing hysterically. Yep, it's over. However, Lance finds a door, a sort of lab of sorts. This might be where Freakin' did his experiments on the patients. Yep, I was right. Lance also finds a book that implies some satanic shit might have been going on in here, because you can't have a horror movie without putting a little bit of Satan in there. He then turns around to see the spirits of Freakin' and his nurses. They all turn to look at him, and he steps back, accidentally stepping on some ritual circle with a skull in the middle of it. And when he turns back, Freakin' is right in his face. Oh yeah, he also does this. You can hear Lance's screams in the background as the camera drops to the floor and they drag him away. We cut back to Lance one last time and he's bleeding from his eyes. Obviously having had something done to him. They said I'm all better now, he says, and that he can finally go home. Even doing the Grave Encounters outro before it cuts to blue and the movie ends. I gotta say, out of all of my horror rewatches so far, it was nice revisiting this one. It's one of those found footage movies that's looked upon positively in the community. And rightfully so. The special effects on the faces are a little wonky by today's standards, and the acting can be very questionable at times. Although you can tell they might have improv some stuff to make it seem more realistic. You have to remember the big marketing for this is that this actually happened. Fun fact, there was an actual alternate ending where Keith found the door busted wide open and Lance staring into a mirror with a camera muttering to himself, dazed and out of his mind. Of course this was retconned with the second film coming out the next year, but it's nice to see. I always wondered if Keith came back the next morning to find everything normal and no one there, or if he found things the way the crew had left it while they were trapped. All in all, this is a nice scary watch if you've never seen it. The second one is solid as well, although not as good as the first. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's free, you can always take it back. My name's Greaves and I will see you guys in the next one.